The Monday, February 22nd meeting of the Common Council will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we will have the roll call, if you would, Ms. Clark.
Alderperson Diaz.
Here.
Alderperson Doyle.
Here.
Alderperson Linder.
Here.
Alderperson McElvray.
Here.
Alderperson Reekie.
Here.
Alderperson Steiner.
Here.
Alderperson Yurs.
Here.
Alderperson Touche is absent and excused.
We have a quorum, so we will proceed with the agenda. Next on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak this evening under public comment? Anyone wishing to speak under public comment? Going the third and final time. Anyone wishing to speak under public comment? Not seeing anyone. Next order of business is approval of minutes from the February 8th council meeting. Those minutes were included with your packet. What's your pleasure? We have a motion by Ms. Reekie. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Doyle. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of the previous meeting? Seeing none, all those in favor of the approval of minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried, and the minutes are approved. Under Mayor's business this evening, we are going to have an update from the Greater Madison Convention and Visitors Bureau and also the Madison Area Sports Commission. So Diane and Jamie, we would welcome you to the podium. And especially for the benefit of those watching at home, you can speak at the podium or at the table. If you want the table, that's fine. Yep. Make sure that the green light is on your microphone, and if you would, just identify yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Diane Morgenthaler. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Greater Madison Convention and Visitors Bureau, and with me today.
Hello, I'm Jamie Patrick. I'm the Vice President of the Madison Area Sports Commission. Thanks for having us tonight.
So what we're here to do today is give you a year-end recap of our 2015 results. But first I'd like to thank the City of Verona for your continued support of our work. We really are very proud to be partners. Okay, let's try this again.
Yeah.
Very proud to be partners with you in bringing economic development through tourism to our communities. So let's go right into our report. We start with really who we are and what we do. As a reminder, we are economic development entities, and we drive economic development through tourism. On the Convention and Visitors Bureau side, it's through bringing new conventions to our community and attracting leisure visitors. And the Sports Commission is really responsible for bringing sporting events and competitions to our area. In addition, the Sports Commission is proud to have an affiliation with Ironman Foundation that allows us to give back to our community through youth grants. And Jamie might talk a little bit about more about that in the Sports Commission report. To give you a summary of our activities in 2015, we had a really fantastic year. We collectively contracted for 146 future events that we anticipate will bring $61.4 million into our community in direct spending. In addition to that direct spending, there's other business impact that we don't report out on that would be the induced and inferred spending as a result of the business we bring. But that 61.4 is direct spending impact. In addition to the marketing that we pay for, we're also very proud of the publicity that we achieve on behalf of the Greater Madison region. And last year that totaled over $2.45 million in earned media through our public relations efforts. So we had some really fantastic publicity this year in publications like USA Today, Midwest Living, Forbes, Washington Post, Chicago Times, among others. In addition to our work promoting tourism and bringing tourists here, we're also engaged in serious conversations going on in our community that will impact the ability for us to be a consistently performing economic entity in the future. So things like the product development conversation about a new downtown convention hotel at Judge Doyle Square. We've been engaged in that conversation for a number of years, and as you know, that is fast approaching some key decisions. We've had continued involvement and investment as well in the Alliant Energy Center visioning study. Again, a very hot conversation right now. We've been engaged in conversations to align expectations for implementation of room tax reform legislation. We are still in conversation with all of our communities about what that means and how that will go forward as that becomes enacted in 2017. And we just recently launched a destination visioning initiative to look at both the outside-in perceptions of our area and what we need to do to be better and better serve events, conventions, and visitors in the future. From an industry perspective, 2015 was also a good year. While occupancy rates were relatively stable over the year, over the past 3 years, what we really were pleased to see is the economic indicator of average daily rate increasing. So this is a really good thing for our hoteliers. It impacts their profitability. It also increases room tax coming into all of our communities, which benefits all of us. So a very good year for our hotel community. And this is in spite of some new hotels coming into the mix over the course of the year. These numbers reflect Dane County-wide information. Specifically, the Convention and Visitors Bureau was responsible for 103 events and $44.1 million of the direct spending that we were talking about earlier. Very good year for our team. While the number of events may be somewhat smaller, the value of those events is up. So we feel like we're getting bigger events and more profitable events for the community, which we're very pleased about. We booked a total of over 74,000 hotel rooms just through the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Jamie will talk about the Sports Commission numbers. And these are the hotel rooms that we can measure. There are times when people book outside of the room block that we are working with them on. We aren't able to count all of those rooms, but this still gives us a measure of our progress in that area. And in marketing programs in 2015, we had a couple of really key things that we accomplished. One, we launched a new website. I think we got in just under the wire of making it happen in 2015, but it is a responsive website, so this will really help to have it more visible on all sorts of media. We're very excited about that, and I would encourage you to check it out. We also expanded our leisure marketing last year. We had a hotel week promotion and summer and fall campaigns that were themed and were very successful in generating hotel room nights, as well as some publicity for us to extend their reach. We also created and executed 3 free educational events for our partners, and we welcome every one of our partners to come to these educational events. They typically are topics like how to use social media to market your venue, or we've done a lot of different customer service related things as well. We also intend to attend a lot of industry events to be sure that we're staying up on trends in the industry and keeping our staff engaged and informed. And one of the things that I did want to mention is that you may not be aware of is that we do an extensive welcome program for World Dairy Expo every year. And in 2016, it will be World Dairy Expo's 50th anniversary. We are already working with them on welcome programs and some new things for this year's event, which will be this coming fall. So I did want you to know that we're very involved in that. Now I'm going to turn it over to Jamie.
Thank you, Diane. The Madison Area Sports Commission has had a really successful 2015 as well. You can see our numbers confirmed events are up to 43. It's a mix of large and small events. We've added 2.5 years ago Brandon Holstein that has helped us in sales as well, and you can really see his benefit, him finding his rhythm and helping us grow in that capacity. The corresponding direct spending impact is $17.3 million. This is led by things like the state bowling tournament, of course Ironman, the U.S. Trampoline and Tumbling National Championships that will happen next year. And the corresponding room nights are up almost 10,000 room nights over prior years. Some of what I just mentioned were also, we also, in those numbers, it was the U.S. Lacrosse Central Championships, which was the last year for that. The U.S. Speed Skating Age Group National Championships, which will be in Verona next month. We also had the Collegiate Club Baseball National Championship, which was booked last year and held last year as well. In addition to some other upcoming events, we have the Adaptive Sports National Junior Disability Championships, which will be a really heartwarming event coming up in Middleton this summer. So just kind of look behind the numbers there. Our sports and marketing team, our sports marketing and PR team, they are really in charge of building out the awareness of the Sports Commission and also delivering to the events that we help bring to town and making those events happen. So we are in the process of creating a Sports Commission video for the entire destination. Those are kind of in the final stages of editing, and we should have that soon, and we can share it with you when that's all comes available. We do a morning sports report, which everybody's welcome to attend. It's quarterly at Hotel Red. We partner with ESPN Madison. It builds our awareness. We get leads from our locals who want to bring sporting events here or might have an idea for us to follow up on. So it's really good networking, followed by a different panel that's a sports topic. March 15th is our next one. It's on officiating. So we have kind of an all-star cast of sports officials that are going to be talking. So kind of an unknown but important part of making sporting events happen. It should be a fun one. With your support, you were there from the beginning. We celebrated the 5th year anniversary of the Sports Commission last year, and we're continuing to progress from there. I mentioned all the event marketing support that we do for groups that come to town. The WIA was a big one last year for the boys basketball tournament, being the 100th anniversary. We spent a lot of time. The WIA numbers aren't typically reflected in our sales numbers in totality, but we do spend a lot of time supporting those because we know what they mean to the destination. And then we had quite a lot of earned media with the efforts of the PR team that works on sports events. And then also we have the youth grants that Diane mentioned. We just awarded 12 different groups youth grants to get kids into sports, and then we'll have a summer cycle, and it's been really beneficial to be able to give back to the community another way through the Ironman Foundation. Yes.
Could you just speak a little bit about the youth grants? So I think it'd be good for everybody here to realize that every year you're looking for, great organizations to make these grants available to, and anybody here
Yep.
can certainly promote that, or if they know people. But if you could speak to that a little bit.
Absolutely. So we do 2 cycles, a winter cycle and a summer cycle. We've given to a number of groups in Verona and all over Dane County, really, whether it's for scholarships or equipment or starting a new program. Sometimes it's been transportation. It kind of depends on how the cookie crumbles. But anytime we can help get a kid into a sport that might meet their interests and abilities, get them active, get them to meet a new peer group, we feel really good about that. And it's supported by the Ironman Foundation. So you can go to our website, madisonsports.org/youth grant for more information on that. Thank you.
Mr. Steiner, please.
Have you had any luck or work with the Lacrosse Federation improving their visibility in our community and area around here? It seems to be a sport that's growing everywhere but around here.
Are you talking from strictly a local level, not from an event level?
Well, I see a Redden Park out there,
Yep.
and that's a gold mine, okay? And I know that this lacrosse sport is they got club sports everywhere, and boy, it'd be nice to find an opportunity in the Madison area for this type of a lacrosse thing.
Yeah, lacrosse is growing fast. It's one of the fastest growing team sports.
Yeah.
And they have a pretty strong program here in Verona. They've helped us with the U.S. Lacrosse Central Championships that we hosted the last 3 years that we held at Redden Soccer Park. Starting next year, we're working with Lacrosse America to have another tournament that will be an annual tournament. So those will be outlets for competition. We have supported through the youth grants a number of lacrosse programs all across Dane County. DeForest, Stoughton, Verona. Field space is always a challenge to find a place locally for them to play. They're figuring it out in pockets, and our product development committee, which is a subcommittee of our board, continues to look at ways where we can help with athletic venue options for people to do the trade both locally and then to host tournaments.
Do you have some comparison charts about the amount of money you spend for that sport versus some of these others?
How much they spend directly?
Well,
How much they spend versus horseshoe
I'm looking
pitching?
at it from the organization part of your commission,
Uh-huh.
and I don't think you guys spend enough money for that sport.
Well, we can look into it and share with you what we have, as far as both youth grants and the events that we booked, but that we only report on what we work with, but yeah, we can look into that more for you.
Yeah, I would like to see that appear a little higher next year when you come back to see us again.
Very good.
Are there other questions or comments for Diane or Jamie? I have two, if you wouldn't mind, and I don't know if it's premature or if you're able to, can you speak at all to the Ho-Chunk, the proposed Ho-Chunk development?
We have so we have a product development committee, which is a subcommittee of our board to help bring research and data and information, the event rights holder perspective. We have met with the Ho-Chunk proposal a number of times. There's been a large need for a complementary venue to Redden. The Ho-Chunk right now, beyond the Ho-Chunk, there's been a number of different discussions to have a multi-field athletic complex. The Ho-Chunk are, they put together what they would like to see as a master plan and are working on that. Their phase one is to build out the casino, hotel, and a heritage center. They're doing a feasibility study on that. Their next step is to look at and determine if there's a feasibility study for the athletic field portion of that, and to really assess whether there's a community need for it, and there's in what the competitive set is, and then kind of go from there. There's a long ways to go, as all those projects are, but they're examining it right now.
My understanding is it's a significant development that they're talking about.
Yeah, it would include the road changes. They're working with the DOT on the highway as it goes into there. You know, the phase one that I mentioned, they would want to build it out, retail, restaurants around it, and then also the athletic field component, which would be on the City of Madison side.
And I think that that's great. I mean, some people might say it's in competition, but the second point that I want to make, and I really want to commend you for the work that you're doing, because we're hearing more and more about, especially the millennials, I know Liz was involved in some of these conversations the other day, is that millennials are making decisions where they're going to live before they decide where they're going to work. So these recreational opportunities we have and the types of activities that they're looking for, it's important for us, if we want to have communities that survive, that we're supporting that type of development, because it's really going to make a difference. And it's not a criticism to the Gen Xers or the millennials. That's what they want, and we need to embrace that and work with them. So I think that that's a great thing. But I also think we need to keep in mind when communities are looking at expanding, if there's that type of development, I mean significant, where they're looking at taking over several holes of the golf course, we need to keep that in mind, that we don't overbuild as well.
Yep,
But,
and that's why we believe that there's a feasibility study that needs to occur.
Yeah, yeah. But
Make sure
overall,
that
I
everything's in complement.
Overall, I think it's good. So that leads to my second question, and that is, have you done any analysis, or are there any numbers out there of local participants in these regional or national events? I'm sure that we have some local people that are participating, but if those numbers are out there, those percentages are out there, I would really be interested in seeing those.
We have some data from a summit that we held 3 years ago, where Sports Marketing Surveys, who does the research for the National Sporting Goods Association, he took a number of sports and drew, 5 hours and 7 hours. He hasn't necessarily done specific to Dane County for us, so we have limited data on that. That's a bit dated by that time, but we could certainly send you that information.
Okay, thanks. Mr. McGilvray.
Sure. I'll just put Jamie in the hot seat again. I wonder if you could speak a little bit to the development that Fitchburg was looking at, because I remember we talked about it at the Sports Commission, but I also read after the fact that the city of Fitchburg was looking at the feasibility and what monies they'd be able to put into that facility. And this is a pretty significant facility in and of itself, outside of what the Ho-Chunk's planning on doing. Or proposing to do. So if you could just speak a little bit about that too, because it goes to what John is saying about just competition in your market and what you're trying to develop.
Yeah, as I mentioned, there's a lot of product development, and when I say product, I mean new venue. It's being, discussions are being had across the board, not only the athletic fields, but courts. You know, there's been discussions about having an outdoor bike park, so to speak. The facility you're talking about in Uptown Fitchburg is 12 basketball courts, 2 indoor soccer fields, a arena that seats about 4,000, and then a practice arena, and then there would be, you know, the hotel and restaurant development, hopefully to be built out in that area. It is a significant dollar amount, and so I'm sure Fitchburg is studying it very carefully. The group that's putting it together opened one in Fishers, Indiana, or it's opening this year, I believe, and they want to build about 15 of these across the country. And, you know, have a significant local interest Monday through Thursday, and then tournaments Friday through Sunday, which is a pretty good model as far as helping to pay for the space and driving economic impact.
Mr. McKilvray?
Just to follow up, if you could speak a little bit to the economic impact from that, because if I remember, was it 60 million? Was that?
I don't recall off the top of my head what they have.
It was a
pegged at.
pretty significant
Yep.
economic impact. I mean, yes, it's a pretty significant contribution that they'd be looking from the community, but the economic impact, and to John's point, if you're looking at trying to create, you know, a sense of whatever for individuals in their community, that's one way to do it.
Yep.
I mean, and it's, if you get a chance to look at this thing in Fisher, Indiana, it's pretty amazing what they're doing there.
Other questions or comments? Ms. Doyle?
I'd just like to echo the sentiment of just driving interest to stay in the area or come to the Madison area. I think the Alliant Energy Center is another important component of that, and just would like to thank you for your involvement in those conversations.
Thank you.
Seeing no other questions, I know that you thanked us for being a participant. We want to thank you for the work that you do, and we're glad to be part of it.
Thank you.
so much.
You're welcome. We will move then to the administrator's report. Mr. Burns, please.
Yes, thank you. I have a couple updates this evening. First, wanted to let everyone know that the automated refuse cart program is underway. Automated refuse carts were delivered to homeowners throughout the city last week, and they can be used for collection starting this week. Some residents have a different collection day. There was information that was mailed out to all of the residents, and that information is also available on the city website with information about the new carts, the new collection area maps, and collection schedules. Residents with questions can contact the Public Works Department office at 845-6695, and also that's who the residents should contact if there's interest in switching out the large size containers that were distributed for the smaller size containers that are available upon request. And so again, additional information, either point to the website, or if there's individual concerns or questions, certainly contact the Public Works Department office. For the city's urban service area amendment, we were notified at the end of last week that the Department of Natural Resources will be approving that application for the amendment, and that a letter has been drafted. The latest we've heard is that they're waiting for the final authorization to release the letter, so we're expecting that to arrive any day. DNR has not identified any additional issues during the review, so we're anticipating getting that letter and completing the process very shortly. And then we have a couple meetings that are going to be coming up this week and next week. First is a couple meetings that the developer of the proposed senior housing facility, Emerson on Main. This is a project that would be located across from the middle school on North Main Street. They have an 80-unit senior housing facility, assisted living facility that's been proposed. They're going to be holding a couple of neighborhood meetings on the project. The first will be held this Wednesday, the 24th, from 6 to 7 p.m., and that is at the Verona Public Library. And then the second meeting, which will also be at the library, will be held this Saturday, the 27th, from 2 to 3 p.m. And then next week on Thursday, there will be a meeting on the Madison Area Transportation Planning Board, MPO, on the Regional Transportation Plan. They're holding 3 public kickoff meetings in early March, and one of them will be held at the Verona Fire Station next Thursday, March 3rd, from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the fire station on Lincoln Street. And they also have a website for the project, which is MadisonAreaRTP.com. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Burns this evening? Mr. Diaz, please.
Thank you. Regarding the refuse bins, do people have to wait the full 30 days to request a small one, or?
Mr. Burns?
If people would like to request a small one, they can contact the Public Works Department at any time, and they'll work with them to schedule that. In the information that was sent out, I know they requested that people try the new carts, but I know in some cases they've gone ahead if people are sure that they want the smaller one and started to work with people already to replace those. So if somebody has a question or concern about the size, I would ask them to call the Public Works Department right away, and they'll work on scheduling that.
Okay, and then that's good. And my second question is then, I just want to say for posterity, this is more of a comment, I guess, that the information was supposed to go out with the refuse bins. I know I probably wasn't the only alder to deal with a lot of people confused that they got a bin with no instructions and no anything else. And I just want to say that that was a mistake, and that was, you know, that there was, maybe you want to speak to it, but that wasn't an intentional thing, and it was just an unfortunate thing that happened.
Mr. Burns?
Yeah, I can speak to that. Yeah, it was intended that the carts would go out with a packet of information with the cart. It was discovered right before the carts were set to be delivered that there was an error in that information. So that was corrected, went to the printer, and that was mailed out to all of the residents on Thursday. So that's the reason it was sent out as a mailing rather than with the carts. We did have some information in the city's electronic newsletter giving people a heads up that would be coming, but certainly it was our intent that the carts would not have been dropped off without that information. That was unfortunate, but we're trying to get the information out through the city website, through our Facebook account, mailing the information to residents. I understand that it has generated some questions, and would just like to apologize on behalf of the city for anyone that did have some confusion or questions, but certainly we're trying to get the information out and be responsive to people that have questions.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Burns? Not seeing any. Thank you, Bill. Next, we'll go to the engineer's report. Mr. Munpus, please.
Okay, excuse me, you have your, my report before you. There's a couple of updates. The contractors are continuing to work on Northern Lights and Nine Mound, extending utilities up the cul-de-sac. Sewer and water have been extended, and they're working on the storm sewer. The street rehab project, the 2016 street rehab project, was bid this past Thursday. Raymond P. Cattell was low on that, and it's going to be, I believe, before Public Works for recommendation on the 14th. That one came in about 11% lower than our engineering estimate, so that was good news. We continue to work on the design for the Church South, Marietta, and Grove Avenue reconstruction, and as I was talking to the DPW, we want to make sure that we're coordinating that with the downtown streetscape project so that we don't have the entire section blocked off for traffic. So lastly, the construction on PD, the reconstruction plans were released last week, and I believe we have a utility meeting on Thursday this week to discuss utility relocations on that one. So I would assume as soon as the weather breaks, they'll start moving dirt. Any questions?
Are there any questions for Mr. Munpus? Mr. Linder, please.
Were we supposed to get something in the packet? I didn't see anything as far as
Well, I thought you were supposed to. If you didn't, I apologize.
is that something you do?
Yes, I'm trying to get it emailed out so that it goes into your packet, and if it didn't, I apologize. That should have happened, but
just asking.
Nope, I was supposed to.
Yeah, I think that's something that we are going to be trying to do going forward is have the engineer's report put together so it can be in a packet, people can review it, and then would have the opportunity to ask questions at the
All right.
meeting.
Good idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions? If not, thank you, Jeff. We will move on then to committee reports. We'll begin with the Finance Committee. Mr. McGilvray, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Under item 9A1, I'll make a motion to approve payment of the monthly bills in the amount of $332,344.19.
We have a motion by Mr. McGilvray. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Doyle. Mr. McGilvray, please.
In the way of explanation, the majority of the bills tonight were for tax refunds for people who may be listening and looking for those refunds to come from the city. I also have three of the larger bill payments, first being to AECom Technical Services, Inc., $54,330.75. That would be for TIF 7 expense, the majority of which is related to the Nine Mound reconstruction project. Second being the City of Sun Prairie for our 2016 MPSIS membership, which is for our records management system that the police department works with. That's $60,277.27. And finally, to Wayland Investments, which is a tax refund of $35,946.28. They are a large property owner, so that's why that tax refund is so large.
Thank you, Mr. McGilvery. Are there any questions? Mr. Linder, please.
Did we have to include the conditions that we did in the finance
Yes,
committee meeting?
thank you, Mr. Linder. I'm sorry for that. There were two conditions for approval of the bills out of finance today, and those would be for items 2 and 3, which are the economic development grants for Treads LLC and Sugar River Pizza. If the bills if you approve the economic grants, the bill would subsequently be paid.
And you, as the author, are fine with that contingency?
I made the contingency from the original meeting.
Ms. Doyle, your agreement?
Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you,
Jack.
Mr. Linder. Any additional questions or comments? If not, the motion before you is to approve the payment of bills with the contingency in the amount of $332,344.19. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The motion carries and the bills are paid. Mr. McGilvery, please.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve item 9A2, a economic development grant for a Class B liquor license to Mark Tauser doing business as Treads LLC.
We have a motion by Mr. McGilvery. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Doyle. Mr. McGilvery, please.
Thank you. Mr. Tauser has applied for the Reserve Class B liquor and Class B fermented malt beverage license for MT Treads located at 407 West Verona Avenue. Alcohol beverage licenses were previously issued for this location to MT Treads Bar and Grill, of which Mark Taucher was a member. Since he is now applying as an individual, the previous Reserve Class B liquor license would need to be surrendered and a new license issued for the business. State statutes set the cost for the Reserve Class B liquor license at $10,000. The city has an economic development grant program for these licenses to allow for a grant of $9,500. That would reduce the cost to a net of $500, which is a normal license fee for the Class B liquor license. The Public Safety and Welfare Committee and Common Council will be considering this, as we are right now. Staff recommends approval of the economic development grant, and the Finance Committee approved it unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. McGilvery. Are there any questions or comments for the Finance Committee or staff? Seeing none, the motion before you is to approve the Economic Development Grant for Mark Tusher doing business as MT Treads LLC. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Mr. McGilvery, do you want to mention the opening date?
You have the floor, sir.
I have the floor, sir. It is our understanding that with the approval of the grant this evening and the license, that your business will be open tomorrow. So please go out and visit MT Treads. Thank you very much. Mr. McGilvery, please.
Thank you. Under item 9A3, I'll make a motion to approve the Sugar River Pizza Company application for economic development grant for a Class B liquor license.
We have a motion by Mr. McGilvery. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Doyle. Mr. McGilvery, please.
Thank you. This is the exact same story, a different name. If there's any other questions, I'm sure we could answer them directly.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, the motion before you is again to approve the economic development grant for a Reserve Class B liquor license, and this one is for Sugar River Pizza Company. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried, and I know according to the application, they intend on opening on March 15th. So best wishes to them as well. Mr. McGilvery, anything else to the Finance Committee?
I would just ask that Mr. Burns maybe just address the question we had at the committee level as it relates to the Class B versus the Class B Reserve, just for the benefit of the council and anybody who might be listening.
Mr. Burns, if you would, please.
Yes, and Ms. Clark, please jump in if there's anything additional to add here. But the question came up with the difference between the Class B and the Reserve Class B. My understanding is that there's not a difference as far as what that entitles you as far as what you can sell as part of the business. The difference is just the fee, which by state statute is set at $10,000 for the Reserve Class B license. And municipalities are limited to a number of regular Class Bs they can issue, and then beyond that, there's a number of Reserve Class B licenses. Thanks.
Any questions on that explanation? Seeing none, thank you, Bill. We will move on then to Public Safety and Welfare Committee. Mr. Yurs, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve a Class B beer and Reserve Class B liquor license for Sugar River Pizza, located at 957 Liberty Drive.
We have a motion by Mr. Yurs. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Reekie. Mr. Yurs, please.
We already went over the vast majority of it. This is just the license that we just offered to pay for.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments for the committee or for the staff? Chief is here as well. Seeing no questions, the motion before you is for the approval of the Class B beer and Reserve Class B liquor license for Sugar Creek Pizza LLC. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Mr. Yurs, please.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve an application for a Class B beer and Class B and a Reserve Class B liquor license for Mark Tischer of Treads LLC, located at 407 West Verona Avenue.
We have a motion by Mr. Yurs. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Reekie. Mr. Yurs, please.
Again, it's the same story. However, I would like to mention that this license was subject to the other license holder that we had approved earlier relinquishing that license. That was brought along with tonight, so that has been taken care of. So we should be free and clear there as well.
Thank you, Mr. Yurs. Any questions or comments? Any questions or comments? Not seeing any. All those in favor of the approval of the Class B beer and Reserve Class B liquor license for Mark Tischer from MT Treads LLC signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion carries. Mr. Yurs, please.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve a City of Madison Police Training Center use agreement.
We have a motion by Mr. Yurs. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Reekie. Mr. Yurs, please.
This is an ongoing agreement, essentially, that we've done in the past that allows our police department to use the training facilities at the Madison Training Center.
Thank you, Mr. Yurs. Questions for the committee or for the chief or Mr. Burns? Mr. Diaz, please.
Thank you. This is just a general thing. Apologies if I missed it, but why does the police department need our approval for this at all? Wouldn't that be at the discretion of the police chief?
Mr. Coughlin, Mr. Chief Coughlin.
I guess that's debatable, but traditionally we've taken all agreements to committee and then the council just to ensure that you guys as the elected body are in full agreement with what we are recommending. So.
Good question. Mr. Yurs, please.
Just to kind of give an overview, what does the Madison Training Center offer or make available to the Verona Police Department in terms of training?
Prior to the City of Madison building this facility, which was about 4 years ago, the facility that we used was the Dane County Law Enforcement Training Center in Wanakee on Highway 19, where we've conducted much training over the years. When Madison built this facility, it afforded us, number one, just another option, a closer location for us to train, which is more convenient and saves cost. And different options, a newer facility, so they had provided training opportunities that Dane County's facility did not. Their range is indoors, so that allows us to conduct both indoor and outdoor firearms training. It also afforded us a FATS machine or a firearms simulator within a building, a training simulator or a driving simulator as well. various different classrooms and defense and arrest tactics training so that we were a little more dynamic and could make changes based on different scenarios. Roughly constructed apartment or house where we had different rooms, training purposes for breaching doors and recording different scenarios that we trained in to critique students after the particular scenario was completed. So,
Thank you for the question, and thank you for the explanation. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, the motion before you is to approve the City of Madison Police Training Center use agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion carries. Is there anything else in Public Safety and Welfare Committee?
Nothing tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Yurs. We will move on then to new business, approval of operator licenses. Do we have any this evening, Ms. Clark?
We do. Operator license applications are presented for Tierra Smith and Jameson Cortez at Vincenzo BP, Travis Murphy at Pasquale's, Tanya Johnson and Tina Watson-Bircher at Avantes, Lori Hoffman and Thomas Duplay at Treads, and Kristen Rinker at Toot and Kate's Wine Bar, and Tanya Zrodicka at Monty's.
You've heard the names of the applicants. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Yurs. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Reekie. Were there any questions on the applications? Seeing none, all those in favor of the approval of operator licenses signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion carries. We are on to announcements. Do we have any announcements this evening? We have no announcements this evening, so the only order of business before us is adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn? We have a motion by Mr. Yurs. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Doyle. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried, and we are adjourned. Thank you.